but all the women wear the veil. Now let's look at it. Is the native language of Pakistan Arabic? No. Is the native language of Saudi Arabia Arabic? Yes. Is the native language of Morocco Arabic? Yes. Is the native language of Algeria Arabic? Yes. Is the native language of Libya Arabic? Yes. Why is it that Pakistanis can tell you all in their hard Pakistan books that you don't have to wear a face veil? And you can look into the Arab magazines and see women with face veils in Arabic-speaking countries. Where did they get the idea? Tell me, anybody. Where did the veil? Don't tell me the Turkish, because the Turkish didn't have nothing 200 years ago. Where did they get the idea to cover their face from? Tell me where the idea came from. And how it ended up on 4 different continents. They must have got it from something that they all have in common. And what is that? The Quran. Because the Moroccans in Maghribi, they have their own customs and traditions. You understand that? The women, the marriage, the divorce, everything is different. No, none of them follow the Sunnah of Rasulullah. They have their own customs and traditions of everything. But then when it comes to dress, all these women found their way to the veil until modernization and modern scholars even, modern Islamic scholars pop up on the scene. Don't let nobody tell you that that's because Islam is in your heart. Islam is not in your heart. Islam is in your ruh, in your soul. Islam is in your nafs. Islam is in your spirit, in your essence, not merely in your heart. You have 3 words for love in Arabic. This is what happens, why it's so important. You have hib, wood, and ishq. 3 different words for love. When you express compassion, it's wood, from the word Dawood or El-Wadud. When you like something, or like the way it was done, or like how it's done, it's hib. When it's a total control over the whole being, it's ishq. Which one of these 3 do you have in your heart? You understand what I'm trying to say? They're lying to us. Islam is not just in your heart. You have to practice Islam. The Prophet Muhammad said in his hadith that you're going to know the people of Dajjal because they're going to have the sign of a kafir on their forehead. Some Muslims are really looking to see some people with a K on their head. They really think so. You know what the sign of a kafir is on the head? If we were walking down the street and a man was coming down the street, got a blue suit on with brass buttons, a gun, and a big silver thing, what would he be? If he had on a green suit, fatigues, you know, what would he be? Huh? Soldier, police. If he had on a white suit and a hat that sat up and had a little thing on the top of it, what do you think he was? A cook, a chef. You understand? How do you identify these people? Huh? By what they have on. If Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was to be walking down the street, how do you think he'd be dressed? Like the brother in the jalabiyah or the brother in the suit and tie? If Rasulullah was seen on the street, do you think he would have a clean shaven face, or do you think he'd have more than likely have a beard like this man has here? Huh? Based on the hadith, the sunnah, which describes him, which one do you think he look like? Him? Will he look like him, or he look like a person without a beard? Huh? And if those women followed him, you think they'd have on Jordan? Or do you think they'd have on long, loose-fitting garbs and covered bodies? Anybody ever go to the airport? See the Arabs coming in the groups every morning? All the women are veiled up, then they get in and they take them off. How, why, I don't know, but I know they'll know on Yom Akhir. So when you see a person, you should know what they are. Correct? Now, he said, meaning Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, that some of his followers are going to go over to the Dajjal. And they're going to be deceived by promises of wealth the Dajjal is going to make to them. This is what he said. Muslims in the Muslim world are making new deals and new contracts of progress with the Western Christian world every day. Every day. New trade laws, new everything. He said, some of my followers are going to go over to the GINJAB for wealth. And all that GINJAB makes appear wealthy is going to perish. And he said, you'll know them because they have the sign of the kafir. Well, who is the kafir but the GINJAB's followers? All right? Now let me describe the GINJAB's follower. Short haircut, no bed, suitcase, gray flannel suit, and tie and shirt. Correct? So if a Muslim is dressed like that, who is he dressed like? He's dressed like the polytheist. Will you be able to look at him and know if he's a Muslim or not? Huh? No. Should you be able to look at a man and know if he's a Muslim? Yes, you should know your brother in the dark as well as in the light. You should know a Muslim. You should see a Muslim 4 blocks away and say, that's a Muslim or that's a mu'minati. You should know that. That's why the Prophet Muhammad said, you'll be able to look at the Dajjal and see the sign of kafir. Because when you look at him, you're going to see a kafir. Now, there's what they call mutakhir in Arabic. When a Muslim has the right to say he's not Muslim to do something for Islam. This is a law that's in the Sharia. Where it came from, I don't know, but it's there. Say, for instance, you was a doctor, right? Or a pediatrician, and you operated on babies. And you came to me and said, Imam, if I wear my jalabiya and my taghiya to the hospital, I will lose my job. And I receive Muslim babies when they come in. You follow what I'm saying? What should I do? Should I tell you to leave the hospital and put the babies in the hands of the Yahudi, the Jew or the Christian? Or should I tell you to stay there, you follow that, and receive the babies in mutakhir? They had that also. Muslims were allowed to do things like that, to go amongst the camp. Salahuddin, you know who Salahuddin was? Of the crusade? Huh? How do you think Salahuddin was able to deceive the king? He lived with him, ate with him, cured him of his sickness and everything. How do you think he was able to deceive him into thinking he was not a Muslim if Salahuddin had to pray 5 times a day in front of the king? How? Huh? He had to pretend that he was not a Muslim. You understand that? To make the point. Read about the Crusades, you see it. It has happened in the history of Islam. But if you ain't got that as an excuse, then you better be in the dress of the Prophet Muhammad. Otherwise, you're going to be classified as Masjid al-Dajjal's followers. If you think that your living here is to make money and survive and get rich, then you have went over to become a follower of Dajjal. You're doing the exact same thing the Arab world is doing right now. Selling out Allah Ta'ala. Here's that Mecca. Right now, Mecca is a business proposition. It's who got the money. And Rasulullah told us in the last day, he said, my people are going to make Hajj just because they can afford it. I met Muslim brothers in Mecca. I walk up to them. I say, Salaam alaikum. He said, wa alaikum salam. I say, Anta min way. Min aina. Say, huh? Min fayn anta. Go to dialect. Huh? Where you from? American. That's the kalam Arabic? You don't speak Arabic? No. How are you going to perform the rites? Or have a mutawaf? This man, there's no such thing. There's no such thing as a man who performs the rites for you for Hajj. So you go all the way up and spend all your money, and you're going to come back, now you're not Hajj. You're not Hajji. You just went on a vacation. That's what the Prophet Muhammad said when he said, my followers will get to the point where they're walking up to Mecca. There are a lot of Americans walk around, I'm Hajji this, I'm Hajji that. They don't even speak the language. They couldn't have made the rights because they can't even read Arabic. And no one can do it for you. If a man can make Hajj for you, then a man can make Salah for you. I say, listen, I can't make Maghrib. You make Salatul Maghrib for me today. I can't make it. Nobody can make Hajj because Hajj is a prayer. I don't know where they came up with this new thing with the mutawaf. That means the men who run around and lead people. Half of them are not even Muslims. This is what you're up against. We have decided here what a Muslim is, what a Muslim believes in, how a Muslim should dress. I'll take you to the Injil, how Isa foretold you're coming, how you are here, what are you waiting for?
If paradise is elevating to other galaxies, then what and where is hell?
Okay, hell is where you will make it. Hell, the Quran has many dimensions of the word for hell in Arabic. They have words from sir to lulf. They have many words, and each one of them describe the state of mind that people are going to put themselves in. Okay? Very rarely do you find the word makana, place. Hawiya, the bottomless pit, merely means a boundless place. That's more interpreted in Arabic as eternally than anything. Now, when we say that heaven is planes, we're talking about states of growth emotionally. Planes are not merely places. Places and things deal with nouns and physical objects that have to do with, like I mentioned earlier, the motion of molecules on the physical plane, right? Matter. When you start speaking about the planes emotionally and man elevating to those planes, we're talking about his spiritual growth and the speed in which his etheric body transforms into a spiritual body and into a soul force. And at the rate it's moving, he'll begin to vibrate on different levels. The same way, this room, the room you're sitting in, the light can become so bright into your octave nerves will cut off. That does not mean the light is not there. It means it got so bright that you can no longer take it. It will just block out your ability to see. Man has to elevate again back to those states, and depending on his spiritual growth will determine what he as a spiritual being will create in his environment that Allah Ta'ala refers to as Jannah in the Quran. The garden. He doesn't call it a place, he calls it a garden, and describes things that people on a physical plane can identify with. Rivers flowing in green grass and couches laid for man, because to describe a spiritual state to physical people is next to impossible. So he has to give you likenesses on the physical plane that you can identify with. You follow that?
Right.
And hell is an abode where people are going to judge themselves by their sins, not for their sins. And hell resides deep down in the essence of each individual. You give yourself hell when you do wrong and know it's wrong.
How does it compare to the last day or the day of standing?
Okay.
You put that in relation to
the Quran, Allah Ta'ala, in the Holy Quran, Allah Ta'ala teaches us that there are three stages of the end. The first being Yawm al-Din. Yawm al-Din, the day of Dunun, the day when people will be questioned about things, judgment. The next one Allah Ta'ala uses is Yawm al-Qiyamah. Yawm al-Qiyamah. The word Qiyamah comes from the Arabic word Qum, to stand up or to rise up. Not Ba'atha, to resurrect, but Qum, to just stand up physically. Okay, to erect yourself. And the last one is called Yawm al-Akhri. Yawm al-Akhri. The word Akhir means the final or the end. Man must pass through these three stages before he has totally become godlike again. Or, when we have it, one with Allah. That means, after his domain on the physical plane, the first thing is Yawm al-Din. Or Yawm al-Qiyamah, I should say. The day when he will come back as a sun-dried body, or a spiritual body, the Quran says, and stand to be judged. That's the first one is Yawm al-Qiyamah, to rise up, whether he's dead or alive, and in a spiritual form, go before the Ursh Allah, the throne of Allah Ta'ala, and at that point, he'll start Yawm al-Din, the day when his records will be passed from Sijin or Ilion, the two places mentioned in the Quran as the prison or the exalted abode, where the records and deeds of mortals are kept. You follow?
Yeah.
Then, after that record is passed to him in either his right hand from the front, from Ilion, or his left hand from the back, from Sijin, then he goes to Yawm al-Akhir. Yawm al-Akhir in the Holy Quran is equivalent to the second death in the book of Revelations. What do I mean by the second death? Man dies here, then starts his judgment. And then as a spiritual being, whether or not he will go into Jannah, eternal salvation in the presence of the bosom of Allah Ta'ala, the Quran says, wherein he will reside khaliduna, eternally based on what you call time on earth, or will he be cast into the pit with Satan and the likes of him, you follow? Which will be his second death. If he's cast into a pit, that's a second death, where he will reside with Satan and his. Because remember, Satan as an angel cannot be destroyed. He's an angel of light. Him and his host of beings and the stones of Sijin will make up what the tormentation that you believe in your mind is hell, and thus will project yourself into for suffering. Not you per se, but people. All right? Keep questioning. Do you get it out your mind totally?
Yeah, I'm still a little confused with this because you can live through this life and pass on. So my question is, how do you get through these different stages, or can we all get through these stages here?
They're growth stages. See, most people have lived many times before. Right? The scriptures confirm that Elish was Yahya, that John the Baptist was the return of Elijah, and that Moses and Elijah appeared to Isa on the mount in front of him. You follow that? These spiritual beings. The scriptures from the Quran, straight back to the Injil, to the Torah, confirms the presence of angels in the form of men that incarnate to human beings. Like when the angel Jibreel, salam alaikum wa rahmatullah, appeared before Rasulullah Muhammad in the cave in Laylatul Qadr to give him the revelations of Al-Quran al-Kareem, right? And he also, Jibreel, appeared to Maryam, the mother of Jesus, to tell her the announcement of the birth of the Messiah, Jesus ibn Maryam, the son of Mary, correct? So we have records in the Holy Scriptures, be they the Torah, the Injil, or the Quran, or the Zabur, of supernatural beings appearing in the form of human beings to converse and interact even to the point of breaking bread and supping with mortals. And the Hadith confirms it when it mentions Jibreel coming to the Prophet Muhammad in the 40 Hadith. So we have records that there is life beyond this life throughout all of the scriptures. Insofar as this being Gabriel was with Abraham at one point, Moses at another point, Mary at another point, and Muhammad at another point, and we're talking 5,000 years. All right? And they always come with the same message. That man has to realize that he is one with the universe. He is one with the Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and must raise himself back to that state so that he can go back to where these beings came from. These beings, angels as they call them, are coming from some abode to deal with mortals. And they're saying that you mortals want to get back to that abode. So the answer to your question is, there are levels of aspiration that men have to go through when they can make a transition from a mortal being to an immortal being. When they can let the spiritual self dominate the physical self and prepare their inner being for that journey back to wherever these beings come from. Of course, there's an answer, but to keep taking the subject deeper and deeper, just to say to wherever they come from, wherever Gabriel, the angel, comes from, and Uriel and Raphael and Michael, wherever they come from is where you're trying to get back to, and obviously came from if they said that man was placed on earth from someplace. Took the man and placed him in the garden. If they placed you in the garden, they brought you from somewhere. And that place is where you're trying to get back to. Yes, it is possible, but it calls for application, discipline, and obedience. Some of the things that the devil taught human beings not to do. To apply themselves to the best of their ability, to obey, and be obedient. They can't take instructions because everybody, since the beginning of Genesis, is suffering from a God complex. When the devil said that he does know that in the day you eat thereof, your eyes shall be open and you shall be as gods. Now everybody you meet thinks they understand the scriptures, thinks they got a monopoly on its meaning. Everybody wants to be the God. Instead of admitting they don't know and sitting down and be instructed so they can make it, everybody tries to interpret it themselves because their ego dominates their
spiritual consciousness. They have to come up with some type of tactic to make you go, oh, okay. The hip-hop generation stepped in, popped out this doctrine, this philosophy, this music, and it frightens everybody. And it frightens everybody, including them. You follow that? But out of that chaos is coming a certain amount of awareness. These kids are now starting to talk about the conditions that's taking place. The death of Tupac is a symbol to them. You follow? They're starting to realize some of you people are taking this business a little too serious. The whole hip-hop thing is a business. We're making money. We're playing games. We're not real gangsters. You want to meet the real gangsters, go to Sicily. You meet real gangsters. You don't think they're no real gangsters. I know guys don't think they're real gangsters out there. So now what they got out of hand is a couple of kids, a couple of fathers, a couple of sons, a couple of brothers have lost their lives. And it's gotten quiet. But there's an awareness amongst all of them. This new doctrine is able to get these kids to stop killing each other. Because when we meet here on Savior's Day, if you're here for the 4 days, you're going to see all the groups here. Groups that would normally be rivaling against each other. They would hate each other. For no reason other than they wear a different color head rag, I think they say. Or one does this, which is nothing but a reptilian symbol. And the other one's doing this. I don't know what they're doing. I didn't see that movie. But they'll all be here on Savior's Day together as a family. So somebody said, see them Milwaukeeans over there? Yeah. They don't drink. Wait, I take that back. We do drink. We do watermelon, soda, wine, beer, but we don't get drunk. Correct? We don't smoke any kind of drugs. Any kind of drug. You understand that? We're not polygamous. We're not Muslims. We don't have hundreds of wives. If you still have hundreds of wives, and the next answer are, you got to cut it out. We're not having it anymore. And I say, if men could have more than one wife, then women can have more than one husband. No more women walking behind men, shut up and you shut up. When the man says shut up, say why, and then prepare to come. but stand up. It's time to stand up. This is what we teach. Now, what's starting to happen is we appeal to the younger generation for some reason. The following day, we open our doors by opening my mind and heart to reach out to the 5% and say, let me take your book that you have been sitting on since 1960-something and doing nothing with, and the kids are only going from little bits of rhetoric, so they don't have a full understanding of what's in those so-called 1 to 20 or plus lessons. So, being you can't afford to do it, or just don't want to do it, let me put the book in one cover, so every 5%, or God, they got 8 sects now, every one of them can have a copy of it. So maybe they can see that we're not that different than they are. But as long as they got a couple of fanatical leaders who want to control their congregation, this is our biggest problem, control of the congregation. They're afraid that their followers might come to me. And if I wanted their followers to come over to me and not be 5%, I wouldn't put up a 5% flag. I'm saying if you're 5%, that's what you believe in, you can still be a part of the Milwaukeean family. But we ain't into it. We're not getting caught up on the religious practice. Because nobody can confirm religion. Nobody. You cannot prove to me that there's a God. You can go over a whole bunch of philosophical bull crap. If I say, prove to me, oh, I know there's a God because He created me. That's it. Evolution beats the hell out of that. Quantum physics beats the hell out of evolution and instant creation. And I'm saying, they can't do it. And that's the problem. Because they can't do it, there's an emotional trap. The moment I can't verify or justify what I believe in, the next thing I want to do is hit you. I regress back to an elephant. or a gorilla, or a bull. You know what I'm saying? That's why we went out there with so many questions at people. But I did not go out there with questions before I did 25 years of questioning. I did 25 years of standing up in front of people in New York City, opened the doors and said, come in and ask me anything you want to prove what I'm saying wrong. If you do, I say, I'll follow you. All I want to do is change the conditions because I see the baby. You know what I'm saying? Marvin Gaye's record was deep. Kids, change the world, that was deep. Now, that record, if you protect us, that's a very heavy message. That's all I was concerned with. So I did that for the 5%. You with me? The subtotal comes down to most people don't know what they're talking about. The first criteria for dealing with a Muslim is, do you speak Arabic? If not, then stop using Arabic. If you don't speak the language of the Quran, then give it up. And then that doesn't mean you understand it, because I know many Muslims who speak Arabic and don't understand the Quran. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many Muslim sects. If they all understood it just by virtue of the fact that they know Arabic, then all of them would have the same belief. There wouldn't be so many Sunni, Shia, Ahmadiyya, Baha'i, and on and on and on. Wouldn't it? Right. So we, as a people, are vulnerable because we're like a baby mind. And because we're riding off of I've been abused. That's what we use. I've been abused. The white man abused me. So we're looking for any way to get even. Like Gaddafi. So we like to join anything so I can tell them go. Black. and hope that average white person goes, oh, that's so terrible. You go black power, average white person goes, that's black power. I mean, they're not as involved in the black power thing as you are. Keep on saying, they don't care about, black power, right on. Now this white person goes like this. Right on. What's the big deal? But let's see what you're doing. Right. If you feel that the system is failing you, what do? Are you setting up a school system? Columbus did not discover America. You can't discover something somebody's already on, first of all. Plus he didn't come to America, he went to Trinidad. You know what I'm saying? So when they got here with Olmec, we were already here for Olmec. Mound buildings, long before, more. Alright, so I'm not teaching that to my son. I'm sorry, I'm just not going to teach my son your lies. You need those that make you feel good. I understand that. You're supposed to make yourself feel good to your kids. But because you went over to Africa and stole a large amount of us and brought us here, that's what I'm saying? You have an obligation to teach us about us. If you say we're free. If I'm not free, then you don't have to, then you continue to teach me that George Washington was the first president when that's just not a fact. There were 16 presidents before George, and 9 of them were black. The man who put George Washington in office, his name is John Hanson. Look it up, and it'll tell you right in your dictionary, John Hanson, a black president, a Moor.
Now, where did you get the name from?
Huh?
Where did you get the 8 other presidents?
I'll give you. I'm writing a book on it.
Oh,
I'll give you. You can go into any computer and bring up John Hanson, and they'll tell you one of 9 black presidents. And they'll give you Native American. And they'll also give you Frenchmen who came over here and married Washita women, a black tribe, and had children, and those children were governors. There's a woman right now, still alive, recognized by the President of the United States as an empress. Recognized as the real owner by deed of the land from Louisiana to Canada. Recognized right now, an empress. They ain't telling me about her. They killed her husband. They killed her father. They killed all her children. But she worked her way up, right, and went and got and retrieved the records. Went all the way to France and traced the records down the deed and can trace her descendants 5 generations back. And prove it, and the government, the President of the United States, has issued her the right to be a separate country in this country right now. She has her own license plate, her own driver's license. They don't have to pay any tax. And it's not exclusively for blacks. Don't start clapping, don't start going over there. It's for anybody who is willing to join in that land. And it's going on right now. Sheikh Dawood, a Moroccan, a Moor, who I studied under, correct? Also got the same rights in the Emancipation Proclamation to claim all those who followed him in his thing called the Islamic Mission of America, I got a card years ago, as Moors, thus not subject to Jim Crow law, because George Washington, in a letter to the Sultan of Morocco, says, I know there are some Moors that have been mixed in with the slaves, and all of them that want to claim sovereignty is free and sovereign, not as slaves. You understand that? You have in America about a 14% slave. The rest are not slaves. The rest of you have been trying to find out why your hair is not all together natural, and why your nose is a little too long, and your eyes might be a little too slanted. Nothing to do with melanin color. Wondering why you don't look like anybody you've ever seen in any of the parts of Africa is simply because you're not an African, you're an indigenous person from one of the Native American tribes here. You follow what I'm saying? You belong to the Shoshone, or the Iroquois, the Washita, the Tunin, the original Cherokee, the Trail of Tears. You were on 75% of the Trail of Tears. You. This is a fact. This is documented. And believe me, you know if I tell you about it, I'm going to put it in a book, because I don't play that crap. You understand what I'm saying? So when you're wondering why you don't feel so African, it's because you're not an African. Remember, the word Africa is an insult. Yeah. Our land extended all the way from California down to Chile, all the way over to the Persian Gulf. Nod was on the other side of the Persian Gulf, the land of Nod, where the so-called character in the Bible, Cain, was afraid to go outside of our land, the land of the Moors, and told his father, I'm afraid in your Bible, what they're going to do, those who find me out there are going to kill me. Read it in your Bible, in Genesis. If Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel were the only 4 people on the planet 4,004 years ago by Jehovah's Witnesses and 6,000 years ago by Muslims, if they were the only people on the planet, and Cain killed Abel, leaving Adam, Eve, and then who was Cain telling his father he was afraid was going to kill him when he got to the land of Nod? So what was he talking about? There was nobody on the planet. You follow? No, the whole world to us was that land. North America was called Atlant. South America was called Amexem. And Africa was called Sudan, where they get the word Aswan. The illusion which causes confusion is to tell people that they're not black, don't use the title black. When in actuality, when you translate the word more or else, you get the word black. When you translate the word kush, you get the word black. When you translate even the word Ethiopia from Egyptos, you get burnt faces and Egypt. When you take the word Ham and translate it Ham, you get the word black. Mizraim, who moved into Egypt, a descendant from Noah, from Ham, black. But in the records that were kept in Latin, we have another word for black. Negative. Acts chapter 13, verse 1 of your Bible has the word nigger. Acts 13:1. Write it down. Don't believe me. Nigger. It says nigger, and it means black.
13:1.
13:1. You got a Bible, open and read it. In the ancient Latin language, where all the history was being recorded, negra was identified with the color. Morenos was identified with the state. They had to stop calling you Morenos because it identified with that state that God was in before life. But the word negra only dealt with the color of this babush or feathers and did not deal with supreme balance. So as you trace your story in his story, you will find the word more in Maurice, Saint Maurice. You ever Saint Maurice? Amor, who refused to murder Germans, so the Irish declared him a saint, and he wasn't even a Catholic. Constitution of the country. You know who wrote it? Iroquois. Because the Iroquois gave the Constitution to whom? Thomas Paine, who then rewrote it. And then they took it and changed it, and took from 13 to 20 out and threw it away. And then added 20 new, but never had it signed. And if you go sneak out from 13 to 20 of the Constitution, which you can find, the one that was signed, you find out it says, no more can be held in slavery. No more. And then it says, who are the Moors? The indigenous people of this land. Dark people, they say, with women. They took it out and tried to hide it. But Philadelphia kept it on record. Say, this is why they got to come up with a hell about those guys are involved in this stuff. This cult thing with this, and he tells them about extraterrestrials coming. We better go out there and try to stop that. They're not interested in my belief in extraterrestrials. They believe more than I do in extraterrestrials. I didn't spend $20-something billion making Independence Day. Give me 20-something, not billion. Give me $20 million and see if I make a movie about blowing up the White House. They should go to the person. With me? Go to the person who made the movie Independence Day and ask them, why do you want to blow up the White House? Because whoever conceived the story conceived the thought. They should be saying this fool, why would you make a movie? Don't we have enough problems with dumb Arabs already without you putting more thoughts in the air to make it look possible and show them how to do it? And we get into our computers, and you can reverse our computers and use them against us, and everybody knows what hackers are. So they should be getting to the man who wrote the movie and sit down with him, a psychiatrist, and say, why do you want to blow up the White House? Well, it's only a movie. Start again. Start with Mr. One. Why do you want to kill the president? You know what I'm saying? Well, it's only Hollywood. All down. Until we just get what I'm saying? Anybody who spends millions of dollars making a movie about nothing, especially if there's not a market for it yet. And they don't know if there was going to be a good market. It happened to be a good market. But they didn't know that when they invested in it. You follow? So they believe more in UFOs than I do. And MIB is coming right behind it, thank you. Men in Black. Which is supposed to be left over from Hitler's Secret Service group. There was a group called MIB, dressed in black. Hitler's Secret Service group from Anarchy. When America went over there and got beat up, people don't know this. It's a whole long story. You won't get into it. You understand with me? I'm not, you understand? When I say you understand with me, this is Jamaican. You understand why they don't like me? They don't like me because I'm telling y'all where to go find facts. And when you get a certain amount of consciousness, you don't need racism no more. You don't have to look at people and say, I don't like you because you're lighter than me. You can see that the Most High God, Allah, didn't plan for that to happen. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made that borderline so thin between us. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying we should all go out married. Because if Caucasian people marry black people on a large scale, that is the end of their race. That's not racism. That's fact. Right. I'm not supporting the KKK's concept of separation by history. That's what I mean. I mean that if we are to stay as beautiful of a garden as we are, we look in the garden and see all kinds of flowers, then people better stop this crossbreeding. Because if we keep crossbreeding, the only people going to be left on the planet is us. Because we were there before everybody got here. Even if you say we were monkeys, we still were here. You understand? Hard enough. Even if we monkeys now, we monkeys, but we were here. Monkeys here. And it's important that you don't destroy a race of people. Because every living thing is a part of the chain of life. We all play a part in it. And as species die, the ecology changes. And man is dying. Gaia, Mother Nature, is angry with us. Very angry. Floods, tornadoes, earthquakes, hurricanes. Mother Nature, or God, or whatever you want to say, is angry with humanity for the stupid things we do to each other and her. You follow that? Our lack of communication with her. Our refusal to link ourselves back in as a part of the soil and the spirit. The sun. Mother Nature's mad. And food is going bad. And people's minds are going bad. We're in a bad state today. So of course, they don't need what happens every 25,000 years, one of us is born. The Hindus call us avatars. We're referred to as an Amanubi Rakatar. The word Aman means that you're a priest of Ra, a sun person, coming in of the sun cycle for the Catholics. Amanubi Rakatar, which they say as Amanubi Rakatar. We are born, you follow that? To rectify, to re-enlighten you. The alignment comes when we come. The planet shifts when we come. They know that we're here. Oh, that's the balance. Evil and good is balanced. You cannot have a world of all good. Because it will conceive evil in another form. Evil will become anyone that disagrees or uncooperates. You follow that? Defect would be evil. Maim would be evil. Blindness would be evil. If all was supposed to be good. But it's not. It's supposed to be balanced. And religion teaches everything got to be good. And it creates an imbalancement in the universe. And it's the root of all the hate and racism and war and separation that's destroying everything. And when that happens, it is time for your history to be renewed. It is time for you to become aware of the divine in you. You follow? An awakening takes place. That you were once the gods. That Ra sent Osiris to this planet and his wife Isis to this planet, and they lived here amongst the nature or amongst nature in harmony. And then he sent Set. And Set was Osiris' brother. And Set was jealous of Osiris and Isis and wanted Isis or Uset for himself. So he put on a big banquet at the party of Osiris or Osir. And he made a beautiful sarcophagus made to fit the size of Osiris only. And he had his men, his warriors, which they call fallen angels, who came with him, get and said, "Prop the sarcophagus, I want to see if it fits my loving brother." You follow? And he put him in the sarcophagus and he sealed it. And he took him out, cut him into 14 parts. These are not true stories. These are metaphors. These are folk tales of actual incidents. See, when you go back before it, and you say, well, where did Ra come from? They'll say, from the primordial egg, the black egg. The black egg is represented by the black dot. The black dot is represented by a soul. They say there's 3 principles to soul in ancient Egypt: the Ka, the Ba, and the Ah. And those 3 principles are the principles of the universe: persons, places, and things. The only time persons, places, and things cross is when a divine principle steps in. And when human beings, Mem, Ra, the God, the creative force of will, the god Mem in ancient Egypt always comes back as Ra. And when Mem becomes conscious of the God, then the principle of persons, places, and things are broken by the principle now and then. When then becomes now, and then becomes now. When a people or a being completes his growth or his evolution from what he is supposed to be to what he is, then he is reached the point of now. You with me? If he looks at his past and everything that brought him to now, he will look over his left shoulder and see it as then. If he intends to perfect the dot now, then from here on there'll be no more changes. Acquisition, inquisitiveness are gone. I now know. So the next then is always going to be the same as right now. I don't want to sound too confused. As I come through life and I hear the Jehovah's Witness, that was back then. And they talk to me about God and Jesus Christ and the Jehovah's Witness Bible, and I'm very interested. And I sit down with some Jehovah's Witness. They come in my house, and I'm convinced this is the truth. You follow me? Right now, I'm convinced. However, if I walk a little further and I run into a 7-day Adventist, and they say, well, the Jehovah's Witness got a lot of truth. However, they forget about the Shabbat. They don't eat pork and so. And I can show you in the Bible it says don't eat pork and keep the Shabbat. And I go, what was then important to me is no longer important to me now. I now have a new now. Do we ever reach the end of now? No. Wrong. We do reach the end of now. When now, then, and then stops. Because there are no more Jehovah's Witnesses, or Seventh-day Adventists, or black Muslims, or whatever to change my now. I now know. And you can never change me. I'm not going to be converted to nothing else. I now know. I don't want to call it tunnel vision. I want to call it a kind of awareness because I did the research. I wasn't indoctrinated. I was brainwashed. But brainwashed is one of those games or play on words to make you think that it's wrong to be brainwashed. But if I was a smoker and a drinker and a druggie and I had all that in my brain, I wish you would wash my brain so I could get a cleaner brain. This is where evil is made to look good and good is made to look evil when they take words and they flip them and say, you are brainwashed. He said, thank you, please. Because if I wash this shirt, you get clean. If I wash my brain, all that garbage you taught me is gone, and and once I'm in the state of now because I have did my own research and I have confirmed everything and I know there's nothing coming better. In other words, I have found myself. I'm comfortable with what I am. My biggest fear and problem is how much I intimidate others because I appear to be so content with what I am. They seem to be bothered. They say, well, I'm a Nawapian. The person that believes in sound, right reasoning. What do you mean by that? We believe that you shouldn't believe. You should investigate. You believe that you must believe to get through the pearly gates. You follow that? We don't believe anything. Call me an atheist. Call me a black devil. Call me a Satanist. Call me all the things you need to keep you happy. But if you say atheist, I'm going to say atheos. I'm going to say a in Greek against theos, or Greek deity. I'm not Greek, I'm not an atheist. Satanist, Satana, Hatana, Hebrew word Satan, what does it mean? Serpent person. I'm not a serpent person. You know those people? You ain't this phonetics. Here's the phonetics in I'm not Phoenician. Etymology. You know, I can play word games. Words are not games. Games are created for words. Words are not created for games. And this is called right knowledge. It bothers people. It bothers people because all you're saying to them is, don't say anything to me that you don't intend to prove. You know what I mean? In the forum of that. I don't mean I'm not going to go play golf with tennis and have fun. We can laugh and joke and kick it and pop and do all that and fantasize about life. That's real too in a sense. But when you start talking about my soul, heaven, hell, God, creation, universe, I'm going to ask you questions. And if you cannot answer the question, I'm just not going to respect you. In that field. Not in the chessboard, you know, the chess game, I mean, that's something. But if you start talking about religion, you say, I'm Reverend whatever, and I came to teach you that Jesus is your personal Savior. I'm going to say, well, okay. So, I don't want to be rude, but what does personal mean? I mean, because you use it. I mean, what is that? You want me to get out the church before this gets nasty, I'll leave. But if you do that and I caught it, I just want to know, what does personal mean? Does it mean mine? Do I need you to talk to him for me? So they'll tell you, a reverend will tell you, quick, God spoke to my heart last night. And God told me to tell you. He said, wait, before you go any further, Reverend, he didn't know God personally. He's my person. Say, would you give him my telephone number so I can talk to him myself? You know what happens? They get mad. They consider that disrespectful. They consider that arrogant. What? Because I simply want to know. Right. You tell me Jesus died on the cross for my sins? I'm saying, even the sins I committed after he died? But I know when I was a kid, I used to do all kinds of stuff with my little brothers and sisters, steal and stuff, him in hand. Is that sin? What is the sin thing? What's the criteria for sin? Who decided? God is sitting out of the book with those things of sin. The Santa Claus story again? You know, those who get gifts and those who bad don't get gifts. Man, I don't need that no more. I need to become conscious of who and what I am. Right. If I go back to your Bible, and I go back to Genesis, and I read in the Bible because this is what you believe, it tells me I'm a living soul. It says I breathe into man the breath of life, and man became a living soul. So now, Rev, lecture me on living soul. Before we go any further about who saved you, why they came, who down on horses and resurrection, tell me about what is your knowledge of living soul. First of all, you need Hebrew, of course, because living soul is in Hebrew. So you have to give me a Hebrew reference. I can't use an English. King James, King James wasn't Hebrew. So can you tell me what living soul means, Rev? So that's what God says I am. And if you can't, could you get a reverend up there to 10? No. Then I'm ready to get thrown out the church. They're going to be jealous. So, the Almighty, all-powerful being in the universe, of which you are a part of, and all religions admit you are, says that all of you must know. And that the only way that we can stop the ignorance is that all of you must start asking questions. And you are going to be persecuted for righteous name's sake. They're going to revile you and say all manners of evil against you falsely. Not for my name's sake, but for the Heavenly Father's name's sake. Come on with it. You understand me? But we have to stop going into bends. We've got to establish now. This is what we are. And that can only be done by the retrieval of facts. By going out and using facts. Don't tell me I am an African. Or just a Native American. Which tribe of Native Americans? And where did they come from? You mean don't just give me the package. Give me the meat in the package. And if you can't, keep the package because you only confuse me more. And or give me the direction for which I can research the facts. That's all. And that's the day and time you're in. And because I've done my best. I heard Bible after Bible. Let me translate it for you from Greek. Quran, let me translate it for you from Arabic. Torah, let me give it to you from the original Hebrew. And I made sure if you got one, where I translated, I put the word next to it, so if you don't believe me, you can go to a Strong's Concordance or a dictionary and see if that's the same word. And see what it means. Just to see that here I'm not lying. Because it gives you another working tool. When you're dealing with people and they say, well, in the Bible, you say, which Bible? King James? I'm not interested in King James, but he doesn't even give me a chance. He doesn't even have a comparison where I can check the words out. But I can investigate what he said. I'm stuck with what he says. I don't need that. I tried to cover every subject. And this is why they can grab one of the subjects that I cover, extraterrestrials, all the extraterrestrials in our midst, and try to ride that subject. And say, you see, he teaches about extraterrestrials. So it must be affiliated with some suicide cult in California. Make it easy. When you only give one type of knowledge, they have to pinpoint. But when you're a person like me who try to cover everything, there's so many ways they can play that game.
And that all gratitude is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the sustainer of all the boundless universes. All gratitude is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the generous eternal friend. And send salutations of Allah on all of his prophets and his apostles, and on the Messiah, the anointed one, and on the Mahdi, the guide, and on the Mujaddid, the reformer, which was all sent from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We send greetings and we send peace throughout the boundless universe to all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
You are now listening to The True Light with Saeed Al-Imam Isa Al-Hadi Al-Mahdi in a live question and answer session.
What was before Allah created the state of nothing?
When you say he created a state of nothingness, it's good that you understand that that's a thing. You follow?
Right.
Okay. Allah exists as he is. Amantu billahi kama huwa, as we say in Arabic. I have faith in Allah kama huwa, as he is, his state of existence. And here's what happens. If you blink your eye only once in every 100 years, okay, you would miss everybody that died between 1 and 100. Let me say that again. If you blinked your eye only once in every 100 years, you'd miss seeing anybody born between 1 and 100. That does not mean that they were not born. It means that you would not see them because you blinked. Then, if you blinked once in every 50 years, you only see people who happen to be born after 50. If you blinked once and then kept your eye closed and 50 years later opened it up, you'd only see from 50 on, and 50 would become 1 to you. Why am I saying this? Because throughout the scriptures, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, when He, the Almighty Heavenly Father, wants to bring something into existence, He merely says to it, kun, faya, kun. Be, and fiya, it comes into existence. Like it says when He spoke of Mary and her immaculate conception. He merely said, be, and she conceived. Okay? When He wanted to bring out the breath of life for man, He merely said, be, and man exists. Now, where does Allah exist? Allah does not exist in a state of where. Because the word exist as a whole cannot be a where. A where is a place designated from another place to and fro. You understand? Allah is Al-Kulum, the all. You cannot take from Him and you cannot add to Him. You cannot take from Him because where would you get it from if He is the all? You cannot take from Him, where would you put it? Because He occupies all places and spaces and time. So, He thought of becoming, thus you became. He had to create the vacuum to place you in because you were to have a dense body as opposed to just a spiritual body. You follow? So what they really say is when He created nothingness is that the Almighty took energy and slowed up its mood of vibrations to create matter. And at the spark where that first took place, the transformation, when you turn down your radio or your television to the point where it's no longer a low volume, but you can't hear it. Not that it's not there. You just can't hear it. Like I mentioned earlier, a dog can hear a whistle that you can't hear. The whistle is there, you just can't hear it. So that is a sign that there are states of existence beyond human comprehension. Allah's starting point is the first stage of existence beyond human comprehension. You understand? And the spark where humans begin to comprehend is nothingness because it's void of time and space until Allah starts things to happen. That's what was before nothingness. Before nothingness was a blink